NBA totals for Tuesday, November 1st, and it has not been going well. We're still at a quite a losing record right now, but it's been 1 week of the season. We have a whole season left. We still got all the month of November ahead of us to go ahead and make some ground back, and we just got a long season ahead. NBA has been traditionally profitable for us, so I'm not going to let 1 week discourage me, and we're going to go ahead and start breaking some games down. It's a really fun segment. I really enjoy doing this, so hopefully it'll help you guys out in making a good decision whether you want to fade me, which is totally acceptable, especially how I've been running, or go ahead and follow the play. So we got 6 games we're going to look at today, and there's a couple other little notes I want to mention on the way as we start breaking these down. The first one we got is a Houston and Cleveland. I'm going to go over the total of 218 at Pinnacle Sports. This was just kind of not really an opposite play, but Houston has yet to really break out the Mike D'Antoni sort of flow of the game. They've actually been playing pretty well. Right now, they're averaging 104 points per game. You got Cleveland averaging 105, and Cleveland, they're allowing just 92 points per game. Last season when these two met up, we had some totals that were considerably lower than what odds makers have set this at. So this is almost an opposite play for me where this number looks really way off. So I'm going to go ahead and go over the total. Again, you're talking about Houston, a team that's averaging 78.7 attempts per game. That's really low for a D'Antoni team. And Cleveland, not much better. They rank 14th, averaging just 87 attempts per game. So it doesn't seem on paper that it's going to be really a up-tempo sort of game, and 218, but I guess when you think about Cleveland, they have no problem getting up and down the floor. And I think Houston, this is the game where they're really going to, show some deficiency on the defensive end, which Cleveland's going to go ahead and put up a lot of points. But I think the Rockets are going to go ahead and hang with them just a little bit, enough to get us over this big 218. I'm going to go ahead and take over the total in that matchup. Next one we have here is Detroit and New York. I'm going to go under the 199. Detroit has been a good defensive team so far this season. They're allowing just about 91 points per game. Both teams, the Knicks and the Pistons, are averaging 99 points per contest so far this season, really early in the year. They've played to some under totals in the past. There's a little different makeup between these two teams. You got Tobias Harris playing for Detroit, for example, and of course Rose is with the Knicks, and Noah as well. But the one game where they really went over the total last season, they scored 67 points in the final quarter, and that's really hard to do. I don't anticipate them doing that again. I think we're going to see something a little bit more manageable, and for both these teams to play a little better defense tonight. So I'm going to go under the 199, and right now I have that at that's across the board. That's across the board, not any specific book. So, look for these two teams to step up a little bit and for the pace to be a little bit more controlled. Next up we have is Orlando and Philadelphia over the 197.5, and that's kind of across the board. This one is the lack of defense sort of game, I guess, and also a little bit surprised at this number. I thought it would come out actually lower. So again, this is a bit of an opposite play for me. The fact that Orlando is averaging just 92 points per game while Philadelphia is averaging just 84. But they've only played a couple times this year. And defensively, they both have been terrible. While Orlando's averaging 103, Philadelphia, they've allowing 107. So again, for me, especially when you think about Frank Vogel, you think of a really good defensive coach. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to back over the total of that 197.5, where Orlando's a slight road favorite, and the line, I think it's a little bit too high, and for me, that's why I'm going to go over. It seems like an underplay, but I just feel like the flow of this game, the way Orlando has at time pushed some tempo, is going to help Philadelphia to go ahead and get over this total as well. This line looks, it's crazy because Philadelphia can't shoot the ball. I mean, they really rank in the lower part of the league as far as shooting, but they've faced the Thunder and they faced the Hawks, two pretty decent defensive teams. I think they're going to have a little more success against Orlando tonight. So I want to go over that 197.5 with the Magic and the 76ers. Next up we have is Sacramento, Miami, under 200.5. That's a bet online. And Sacramento, again, with Dave Yeager. Thank you for the name adjustment there. Somebody out there corrected me. I was calling him by his wrong last name. And that's something I try to be really good about. And that's just it. inexcusable. That shouldn't happen. So I apologize. Although I've been watching him closely for the last 2 years, I've never heard his name pronounced. So that's my fault. I take responsibility for that. So thank you for correcting me. I appreciate that. So that's Dave Yeager for the Sacramento Kings. Great defensive coach. Now Sacramento, they're off a back-to-back game. We actually hit the under barely yesterday versus Miami, and traditionally he's a defensive-minded coach, and they don't run really fast pace. I mean, right now, you're talking about a Sacramento team uh, that is slow. They don't go really fast. They're averaging, although they're averaging 104 points, they only scored 95 just the other day versus Miami. They're allowing 99. You got Miami averaging 99, allowing 99. So it's kind of odds makers just kind of threw a dart at this one, where it's going to land right in that middle number. Last year they went for 203, 211. Excuse me. The odds maker set the total for this matchup at 203 and 211 and a half, and they went over on both of those. I don't anticipate that happening tonight. I think there's a reason why odds makers have this lower than that was set last year, and that's attributed, I believe, to Yeager. I really do, and especially the tempo he has Sacramento going at. So I'm going to go under that 200 and a half at Bet Online, and let's just get on to our next one right here. We got Memphis and Minnesota. Also, I'm going to go under again here. The 199 now, they did score 200 points in their opener. Memphis so far this year, they're averaging 106 points per game, giving up 104. Minnesota is averaging 100, allowing 104. Just off those statistics alone, you think this would be set over 200, but it's not. It's just under, and there's good reason for that. Again, we got David Fitzdale here for Memphis and Tom Thibodeau for Minnesota. Really young, talented Minnesota team that I've mentioned before. Again, that 199, that's at Heritage Sports. It was 102.98 in their opener, like I already mentioned. But we're talking about a Minnesota team that I think is going to probably control the tempo, and they're averaging 79 attempts per game. That's not a lot. So we're going to see probably more of a defensive mindset in this matchup. So I'm going to go ahead and back under the total of that 199, although the number seems about right. I don't think we're going to see a high-scoring affair in this one. And finally, we got the last play of the day here for us is Utah, San Antonio, and I'm going to go under the 187. Really, that's the lowest total on the board, but the last two times these teams have matched up, they played to some really low totals. Again, no Gordon Hayward. I think it's going to be similar to how San Antonio played against New Orleans, where they just put the clamps down, and I don't see Utah scoring a lot in this one. I definitely don't see the pace to get going. Last year, they had a really high-scoring affair in San Antonio with the Spurs winning 123-98, but San Antonio shot 60%, and Utah shot over 40% from three. I just don't see that happening again. The attempts in that game were actually reasonable in accordance to what we're seeing for a number set at like 187, but they both just shot really well that night. I don't think that's going to happen again, and I think we're going to see something lower. That's why the total set so low at 187. All right, another breakdown of these games, just a recap. We got Houston, Cleveland over the 218. That's at Pinnacle Sports. I don't know if I mentioned that. Detroit and New York under 199. Orlando, Philadelphia over 197 and a half. Sacramento, Miami under 200 and a half at Bet Online. Memphis, Minnesota under 199 at Heritage Sports. And Utah, San Antonio under 187. That's across the board right now. That's the NBA totals for today. So hopefully we'll start to get back on track. I wish you luck on your picks today.